Hello, you are here for returning to a job after experiencing burnout. This is for Black women in toxic jobs. It's a part two conversation. Before we talked about bouncing back from burnout, and because we had such acclaim and such lively feedback, we are doing a part two. So this one really talks about for those of you who are choosing to go back to a job. So I just want to just say already I'm a little biased, right? So my YouTube channel is mostly helping Black women leave and heal from toxic jobs. But I do understand that not everybody is ready to leave a toxic job. I understand that. And so I wanted to give a balanced perspective. So we have Apryl here again to talk with us. So we're going to get right to the conversation. So Apryl, if you could introduce yourself to those who don't already know you.
Hello, everyone. First of all, Dr. Kamani, thank you for inviting me back.
Yeah.
Your audience and the community that you built is fantastic. But as Dr. Kamani mentioned, my name is Apryl Thatch. I'm known on my little corner of YouTube as Positively Apryl. I am a multi toxic job survivor, but really that I think fourth time that I took a sabbatical was really it. And as you say, I took my power back and
Yes.
went on my little path to self-discovery, which kind of led me to ending up going back to corporate, but with a little bit of a different twist to it.
Yes. I'm so glad you said that because I do consultation calls with women, and sometimes they'll ask me about what about going back into a job, and I'm like, again, I'm a little biased because what you said, Apryl, you've had numerous toxic job experiences, and the Black women that I work with, numerous toxic job experiences, and
Mhm.
unfortunately, and I spoke to this in a video one time where people might say, well, the common denominator must be the woman because she keeps having these experiences. And I said, no, the common denominator, racism, sexism. So that
Mhm.
permeates all of our systems. And so we keep going to these racist, sexist systems. And yes, we keep having these situations. So I want to tell the audience again how I met Apryl. So both of us were part of Stephanie Perry's YouTube challenge. And now we are
Mhm.
in her YouTube Success Society. So again, I want to give a shout out to Stephanie Perry. Thank you so much for even
You
making
said
this
it,
happen.
man.
Yes, I would even have a YouTube channel without Stephanie Perry. And in
Yeah,
fact,
me either.
Stephanie Perry told me during the YouTube challenge, she was asking all of us, hey, what do you think you want to talk about? And I said, I think I want to talk about Black women in toxic jobs. She said, girl, do it. Right. So again, thank you, Stephanie. Thank you so much. So let's get right into the conversation.
All
Okay.
right. Okay.
So,
Not
so I
not two
said,
and a half hours today is what you're saying?
say what?
I said we're not doing 2.5 hours today. That's what I heard you
Maybe
say.
not. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not. We'll see. We'll see. Right. We'll see. So, Apryl, can you talk to us a little bit in terms of your decision to go back into a corporate environment after burnout? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay, sure thing. And I want to make sure you can hear me okay, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. So fun fact, I don't like working for other people. I don't believe that I'm meant to work for other people for extended periods of time. And some of the best when I was at my best spiritually, physically, emotionally, just was when I was working for myself. So I want to preface this conversation with that, but to echo what you said, Dr. Kamani, is
Mm-hmm.
sometimes either people aren't ready to leave.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make sense for them to
Mm-hmm.
leave. They would essentially blow up their worlds. And I'm talking about just the financial benefits that you
Right.
get. Some people, they are very, very close to getting their retirement or they have some type
Mm-hmm.
of vesting or pension or something like that. And then there's others like me who decided on a very interesting day in January that I was of 2021 that I was not going to be here during the
Mm-hmm.
next election.
Mm-hmm.
I had already thought about I thought about leaving here, buying a home, maybe someplace else,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't think that it was going to be out of the country, any of
Right.
that. And I started looking, where can I go? I could buy a second home, things like that. And it
Mm-hmm.
somehow, you know how the YouTube algorithm does. I saw
Yeah.
Rashida Dow's this is, I'm jumping ahead of myself, but this is in like late September of last year.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd kind of been doing it myself and trying to figure things out myself, watching people that didn't look like me. No
Mm-hmm.
one in my world is saying, you're about to leave another good job and do what again? Well, I thought you was an
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneur first. Then I thought you was this. Then I thought you was that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but when I saw the Exodus et al, as I call them, that I realized like, whoa, there's a whole community, so I don't have to do things for myself. But let me go back a little bit. When I knew that I wanted to leave, I
Mm-hmm.
had accumulated a lot of consumer debt. I had some
Mm-hmm.
health issues that happened
Mm-hmm.
while I was on my own insurance that I was paying for.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted me to have more of the traditional treatments. And I knew that, therapy was going to be the best route for me. So it was a lot of money. So I said, okay, if I'm looking to leave, if I'm looking to purchase another home,
Mm-hmm.
these things, I have to make my plan. As I've mentioned ad nauseum, I am a true planner. I plan everything, have trackers and spreadsheets for everything, but I knew that I needed an influx of cash.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something that was, yes, I could uh, dig into being an entrepreneur and hustle and all, but I was no longer that person
Yeah.
that wanted to just go hard and would motivate myself and the ends justify the means. No, they don't. So I knew that the easiest route, as far as getting that consistent influx of cash, it may
Mm-hmm.
be six in one hand, half a dozen in the other, but what is going to be easier? And that's for me to go back into a corporate environment. And I went back actually with my business as a
Mm-hmm.
consultant, and then was still kind of like, and as I told you offline, like I was asked to take the role, and I'm like, well, I don't know, because
Mm-hmm.
are y'all gonna switch it up? Is it great because I'm a consultant now? It's gonna change, but it did not, and I'm glad. But
Mm-hmm.
again, I'm not the same person that I
Yeah.
was when I left that job before.
Yeah.
And we can get into some of those ways that it's different, but that's how it led to it. I knew that I was leaving this country in the next few years. And I knew that there were a lot of things that I needed to get in place. And one of them would be, just like I said, having that consistent,
Income
income.
and
Yeah.
healthcare, right? And
Yeah.
and I'm glad you said too, April, that when you went into this new job situation, it was not toxic, right? So a few of us, well, a few of you may go into job situations that are not toxic. And so again, I don't want to be biased. So a few of you may have that experience. And so April is saying she was able to pivot to this job situation that was not toxic, but she understood what the purpose was. So in terms of stacking your cash, and
Yeah.
then in terms of health care. So it wasn't a situation where you go into a burning house again, where it's toxic, you're being harmed again. You just came from burnout, you go into another toxic job. And I think that's the thing that trips a lot of Black women up, is
Yes.
that they say, well, I don't want to leave this job because at least I know the players here. I know all the devils and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, I don't think you want to know any devils, but they'll say, well, all of them are toxic, so I might as well just stay here. But April is saying not all jobs, and I've heard other Black women say this, not all jobs are toxic, but it's also thinking about it may not be toxic, but you also recognize there's a different life that you want for yourself. And maybe the job may be a temporary way to get your money together so you can eventually leave. And I think that's important to also recognize when we talk about taking our power back. And you mentioned Exodus Summit community, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to just give a shout out to Stephanie Perry, Rashida Dow about Exodus Summit Community, which is a community
Absolutely.
for Black women who are wanting to live outside of the United States. So travel, live somewhere else, for us to know that we have options. So on my channel, I talk about options in terms of jobs and different options, but they're talking about whole lifestyle
Yeah.
options. So check out Exodus Summit. I'll put their information in the description section as well. So April, when you're in this situation, you're like, okay, I need to get my money together. Now, what about with women that you work with, Black women that you work with? What have you heard from them in terms of they may experience burnout? This happens a lot with consultation calls I have.
Mm-hmm.
The women have experienced so much burnout, they can't take it anymore and they end up leaving. But then there's a level of anxiety after they leave about, oh my God, what's going to happen when I try to get another job? What about when I interview and they ask me what happened to the other job? What about my resume in terms of gaps with, working? So what advice do you give to your clients and also people who are women who are watching us today about that?
Yeah. So first of all, I think that as we've heard, sabbatical. So for me, I thought the sabbatical was an educational term for tenured professors. You know, when you take a sabbatical in higher education, you are going to do a research project. You know, things like that. I learned at the last job. The one that I said like it was just too much.
You did the
And
U-turn out.
that I left, yeah, that I left in fall of 2018.
Yes.
But that one, at 5 years, they gave employees a sabbatical. So at your fifth year, you got a month off.
Wow. What?
Yeah,
A month
but
off. That's a sabbatical. Wow. Okay, I'm sorry.
no, that's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
But they dangled it kind of like you would hear people saying, well, I just need to, I'm almost there, or I'm almost, well, I can have a month off then. But
Wow.
even then, a lot of people were still, they were working, they were available because the company banked on people not understand how to differentiate. Let me take a quick
Mhm.
sidebar so I can put you guys on to something.
Sure.
So the company where I worked, I served on their talent acquisition team. So if because they went to universities, colleges, all type of events all around the country,
Mhm.
I would show up and man the booth and show people how to apply for positions, things like that. Talk about the company and things. So I was trained
Mhm.
in by TA. One of the things that they told me is that they essentially have a formula of who is going to be an ideal employee for them. They like for the financial advisors or for some of the sales positions, it was nothing to have former professional athletes working there, and also like college athletes,
Mm.
because they want that competitive drive.
Ah.
For customer service, they wanted people who, I call it the worker bees. They really, for one reason or another, they're not going to really promote much. And they had all these levels in customer service to even get to like a team lead. It was just so many positions. But then
Mm.
the majority of the company, they liked liberal arts colleges. They required that you have a bachelor's,
Mhm.
but they didn't care what it was in. And they went to a lot of these liberal arts colleges. Why? Because those are people who take direction. Those are people who are like dreamers and free thinkers, but you can kind of dangle that in front of them that
Oh
you
my
can get this
gosh.
job. Yeah. So I remember thinking like, wow, so this is intentional. Some of these jobs, they have hired you because you fit a certain bill, because you answered the questions in the
Wow.
interview, how we are told that we're supposed to answer them.
Wow.
So, that like that in and of itself like told me like, hold on. And this is something that happens. There's firms that get paid a lot of money to
Mm.
predict these people tend to be the most engaged. These people tend to stay the longest. I mean, there were some people that had 3 generations working at that company,
Oh my
and they just
gosh.
loved it, loved it, loved it. But again, working on weekends, just working, 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 because they trick you into thinking that we're all a team, we're all a family.
Mm.
So
Oh,
it's very, very
not that
calculated.
one.
So I want
Yes.
to say that to people that think like, dang, how did I end up in this again? If you are in a particular industry,
Mhm.
if your career has been in certain roles,
Mhm.
you fit the bill, and they have
Mhm.
essentially, you didn't stand a chance. Like it was over before. It was over before
It's
your
like
eyes.
they already psyched you out before you even
Yeah,
started working.
and you get these great benefits. You get to say you work at this job. They give you these. That's another thing they held over people's heads were titles. Like I used to say, I don't care about titles. Like
Mhm.
just run me
Mhm.
my money. You can call me the janitor. Who cares? As long as you're paying me and you're leaving me alone. Um,
Yes.
but to answer your question, I just want to take that sidebar real quick.
Mhm.
Now, to answer your question, this is commonplace that people are taking these breaks. LinkedIn has a feature. If you there's a gap, you can put career break and put
Oh,
what years you
really?
run a career break. Yeah. So this is something you have to think about this over the past 3 years. Now, we naturally have have always had parents,
Mm-hmm.
loved ones. We, maybe had to leave work to become a stay-at-home parent, or, we've always had these, went to school or whatever, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we've had natural gaps, but think about what's happened before, during, and after the Coco Panini, as I call it. Like, there are people who have cared for folks. There are people who have irreputable chronic conditions, that they're going to have
True.
lifelong chronic conditions.
True.
So
True.
it's not weird to see this break. And I caution
Mm.
you, if they want to like dig their heels in the mud about it, then that's not the place where you want to work.
Ah,
Because again, these jobs show us who they are in the job
true.
description. They
True.
have
True.
50, 11 million bullets, and then they got the one at the bottom and all other tasks. Well, hold on, you done listed, you know, you want me to be
Mm-hmm.
the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker, and then you want me these all other tasks is assigned.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
there's things that you can look out for,
Mm-hmm.
um, that are like kind of red flags.
Mm-hmm.
But you can put on your resume that you took a sabbatical.
Ah,
For example, you could say I took a sabbatical. And so you don't have to put on your resume, you can just have the gap. If they ask you what happened, or if you're filling out the application and they
mm-hmm.
ask you, you can put career break or sabbatical. You can
Mm-hmm.
say, travel to gain new perspectives. You can look at the skills that are in the job description. You
Mm-hmm.
can go over to one of my favorites, Chat GPT, or you may have things from, other resumes, or you can kind of piecemeal it from some job descriptions, but tie those two things together. Something
Mm-hmm.
else you can put is you were a caretaker. Even if you were out on mental health leave, that's what I helped one of my clients do. She was out on mental health leave, and left that job, and she wanted to know, like, what I said. Well, what were you doing? She's like, oh, I was taking care of myself. I said, oh, so you're a caretaker? Like, you don't have to say, you could even say for,
Ah,
a family member. Okay, so while
uh-huh.
you were off, who benefited from you taking care of them? Or you can say caretaker, and then just put, again, some of those things that tie in to what that role has. You just want to, make the connection, and then it's easy to talk about. But again, we come from the place. Here's another thing too. Okay, I'm on one right now. But here's
Go
the thing.
on, girl. I love
We
it.
we cannot come to this from a place of lack and desperation. And
Yeah.
that's typically what we do. We see our resumes, and there's so much in this resume, like that we put so much stock into it, because the resume can make or break. And I agree with that. But one
Mhm.
thing that I had to do, and I struggled with, like, my resume was just, it reeked of desperation, my old
Mm.
resume. So I had to redo my resume so it sounded like me, the version of me that is looking to apply for this job.
But can I ask
So
you a
don't,
question, April, right quick, before I
yeah.
forget?
Mhm.
How does a resume reek of desperation? What
Well,
are the things that? Because so the thing is this. This one I'm asking you, April, because you just told me that. Oh, we lost her. Okay, so she's gonna come back. Okay, here she is. Hold on a second. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, so the reason I want to ask you, April, is that you are talking about something I never really thought about before, was how it's very calculated, right? In terms of how they recruit, and almost like a grooming and like a social programming and the whole thing, right? So
mhm.
if we think about applying for a job, what are some things that Black women need to be aware of so that their resumes don't look like what you're talking about in terms of that desperation and that sense that you could be manipulated? What things might your resume look like?
So first of all, if it is, like, look at your resume and think about the place where you're coming from. Like, are
Mm,
you applying to this job because it looks like it'd be interesting? And this could be a promotion even within your company. This can also be a business pitch. So this applies. Like, think about the spirit in which you are drafting this document. If
mhm,
you are anxious, if you are like, I need this job, and again, you can still need it, but it's really like, so look inward first of all, and think about how you're feeling. And if you get like feeling like, I call it the whooping feeling, that's how anxiety shows up for me, because I get that, like, I'm gonna whoop you when we get home, like that like knot in my stomach. So again, that's how it shows up for me. That's how I, like, if
uh-huh.
you ask me how to tell you, like, that's how I know the anxiety is kicking in. I feel like I'm about to get in trouble, and I don't want to go home. Like, I need that car ride to take forever. Anyway, but so again, you want to turn inward and think about the place where you're from. If you're starting to get anxious with this, press pause. There's also some things, again, I mentioned ChatGPT, and I know a lot of people have heard about it. I've been an early adopter. I am personally friends with somebody who was a coder and worked on ChatGPT. So I've known about it for a while, and I jumped on it as soon as it went live that November. But there are certain things that you can put into Chat GPT and you can prompt engineer it to tell you the tone that you want. You can say professional, clear, and concise or something like that.
Hmm.
But again, so the first thing, think about the headspace that you're in while you're doing it. What are you feeling? Check in with yourself. What am I feeling? If you feel anxious, press pause. Is there some way you can do it easier? And that's what I'm saying. There's shortcuts. I love shortcuts. Okay. We're talking about living a life of ease. We are making changes. We are not Black women who are, the laborers or the pack mules or whatever. We are making a change, and it starts with the spirit in which you make that.
Hmm.
Using some of the shortcuts. Nobody's winning a prize for working extra long and giving yourself a migraine on it. Something else that you want to think about when you read it is it super wordy? Are you trying to cram every single thing in? I tell clients that when you're doing either a pitch or doing a resume, what you want to do is it's almost like an appetite. I call it appetizer. It's like the appetizer, right? If you're at a meal and they said we've got 7 courses, and like my mouth started watering just talking about it. But it's like everything that they bring out is even better and better and better. So it's that anticipation.
Ah.
You have to look at it the same way with your resume.
Hmm.
You want to leave something for them to ask you in the interview. You want to give them just enough, use the verbiage, use some of the language so they understand how you're a good fit for, at least on paper. But
Hmm.
you want them to come with questions
Mm.
to the interview. But if you put, 33 bullets and you got like a 10-page resume, the only time you should have those long CVs is when you are detailing your research projects that you did, your publications that, peer-reviewed journals that you've been put in, like when you're doing a CV. But as far as a resume, you want to keep that down to 2 pages. And so if that means that you have to cut some things out, that's fine, because those are going to be some of your talking points that, are the things that you want to highlight when you have your interview. Or if they say, do I have any questions, or do you have any questions? You want to ask a question that allows yourself to, make sure you hit those talking points so that they can hear that you have experience with that. So
Ah.
that's how it reeks of, it really starts with the spirit in which you're doing it. And then
Yeah.
also, if you're trying to put every single thing that you do, that is just telling them again, oh, well, she can do this. She can do
Ah.
this. She can do that. And if you're applying to these jobs with all that stuff on there, be clear. They're telling you what they expect.
Yeah.
So if
So
it's these
tailor
long,
it really to
job
what they're
descriptions,
asking
mhm,
for,
yeah,
what the job duty is, not like the whole world. I could do 20 other things and then this too, right?
right,
So tailor it. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. So what would you say to Black women? Because I hear this a lot, April, where they go from one toxic job to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, right? And they're beat
Hmm.
down. So when you talk about burnout, they're burnout not only about what's happening at the toxic jobs, but it's an accumulation of going to so many jobs that's happening. So what would you say to Black women who are watching right now so that they can be aware of those red flags you talked about? So you talked about if you tell them I took a career break, I took a sabbatical, and they drill down even further, red flag, right?
Yeah.
What are some other red flags that Black women need to be aware of as they go into another job, if they choose to go to another job? What are some red flags?
Something else, and I did mention this, but if they require a bachelor's, it doesn't say, like me, I'm in a very, very specialized field.
Hmm.
So if it says bachelor's in or master's in, like
Hmm.
if it specifies and you meet that criteria, great. But if it says bachelor's and that's just a catch-all bachelor's, that's something, keep your good eye on, because they're on that book that they don't care if you have a bachelor's. Also, that shows me that it is inflexible. Like that job, again, they're telling you who they are in these job descriptions, that
Hmm.
they're inflexible. Me personally, I think only one person on my team that currently reports to me.
Hmm.
actually has a college education. I could care less because the stuff we do, they don't teach in college. They can't. It's
Mhm.
something that you learn on the job. You
Mhm.
learn from being in the industry. Yes, there's, again, I've got 3 degrees, so
Mhm.
that makes sense. But you know, I'm at the top of the
Right.
of the org chart.
Right. Right.
And I needed X amount of years, and that's when it speaks to my that's when it lends to supporting me as a good candidate, because not only do I have this experience, but I've done research projects and
Mhm.
like things like that. Again, you want to always make sure you tie stuff together. Something else is your intuition. And I should have said that off rip. Again, think about the spirit when you're looking on LinkedIn, when you're
Mhm.
looking on whatever career, I don't know what they got out there, Indeed, things like that. Wherever you're looking, how would
Mhm.
check in with yourself? How am I feeling? The same way I said with your
Mhm.
resume. Are you coming at it to this place like I have to get this right? I have to get this job. You don't
Mm.
want that. Something
Right.
else, if they got the 33 bullet points and all other tasks is assigned, the same way that you don't need to put all of the things on your resume, you don't necessarily want to work for a place that is expecting you to do all of these things.
Mm.
Again, they are showing you who they are. And if your
Yes.
gut and if it doesn't get you excited, that's something else too.
Mm.
I have almost 15 years of experience in this field.
Mhm.
2.5 of them of my years were spent, helping small business owners with their
Mhm.
regulatory compliance and
Mhm.
with their, legal things. Before that, all of it was spent working at financial institutions.
Mhm.
I do not work at a financial institution right now.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
am the payments compliance officer for a suite of businesses that's owned by a private equity firm.
Mhm.
So, same skill set, less work because it's not complicated, same,
Mhm.
laws and things and regs and rules,
Mhm.
but in a different industry. So don't box yourself into looking at jobs that are in, the industry. You have no idea how your skill set can be used. And that's what I hire people
So
for,
expanding
their
our
skill set.
options, looking past just like, oh, it has to be this. There are other possible ways for you to use your skill sets, but it may not just be in that narrow perspective, right?
Right, right.
Okay.
I
Okay.
don't I don't work, 7 days a week. I probably shouldn't say it on the internet, but I average around half days every day. They
Yeah.
give 2 months of personal leave. Every Wednesday they have what's called Wellness Wednesday. They encourage you to take a nap, to meditate, do what you want. And that is not including the lunch. So they pay
Wow.
you for that. And then, if you're gonna be gone 2 hours in a row. So I tell my people, okay, well, that's your time. Like, you want to go to a place that gets you excited. If you're looking at these jobs, you either left a job or you're getting ready to leave a job that has you, burnt out, or as I call it, you burnt up. Then why would
Mm,
you jump from the frying pan into the fire, or however that goes?
right.
Like, why not look at a job that speaks to those parts? Because as my grandmother used to say, as long as it has arms, even a broke clock is right twice a day. So all jobs aren't bad, like, or let me not say all jobs are bad, but your jobs that you've had, you enjoyed them at some point.
Mm,
Identify what those things that you enjoyed. Think about
mhm,
the things that make you happy, that you like about the job, that you don't
mhm,
like about the job. And
mm,
hone in on jobs that have descriptions that speak more to that part of you. And a
mhm.
good indicator is when you get hyped, when you go down the rabbit hole, at least I do. I start reading and then I'm like, oh, let me read up on the company. Oh, let me read on this. And it just continues again, like how I said with the course meals, it just continues to build and build and build. So that's a good indicator that that is a job you want to apply for. And then also when you get to the interview,
Uh-huh.
if they're late, that's something. Mm-mm, mm-mm. Look, look. My
Glaring
time,
red flag. It's like lights flashing.
no, no. My time is just as important, if not more valuable. I know how
Yeah.
much my clients pay me per hour.
Yeah.
Right now, again, I take jobs with a very high salary,
Mm-hmm.
multi six figures, but still I can get that, if all I did was meet with clients every single day. So I
Okay.
like my time actually is more valuable than
Yeah.
yours.
But you
And
know,
even
can I say something, April? Can I say
yeah,
something?
sure.
I
Hmm.
think that that really speaks to knowing your worth
Yeah.
as Black women. And I think sometimes we settle for the crumbs because
Mm-hmm.
we've been told the social programming is that we have to work twice as hard to get half as much. And because of that, then we settle for the crumbs. And I want to tell the Black women, any Black women watching this, we deserve much better than some crumbs. Okay. Look at April, right? Look at April. And April is saying to you, saying to us that we deserve better and that we take our power back by interviewing these jobs. They might be interviewing us, but we also are interviewing them. So do your research. That's just saying too.
Mm-hmm.
Do your research on these companies. And if it doesn't feel good in your spirit, it doesn't sit well for you with
Yep.
you, you don't hear good reviews. Look at what people are saying about these jobs. If it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't sound good, don't pursue it, right? And I see Stephanie's here. Hey, Stephanie. It's good to hear that there are employers who care for their employee. I'm happy to hear it too. Like I said, I'm jaded. I'm jaded because of what's happened to me, but it's good to know that that is out there, right? So,
Yeah.
April, can you share with us a little bit more? Because you talked about do your research. You
Mm-hmm.
talked about pay attention to what your gut is saying to you. All these things. Now, and you also talked about with resumes. What's it about that gap? That's really good. So what would you say in terms of when you're in an interview and let's say they ask, so I'm curious, why you left the previous employer? What would you say?
Well, um, if
And hit the
I
like
left,
but yes.
yeah, if I left on a sabbatical, I would say, um, I'm just spitballing, but I would say, oh, thank you for asking. And although I enjoyed my time at XYZ company, I realized that I wanted to gain some different perspectives. And I took a career break where I traveled, or you could even say I took a career break where I learned. So let's say this is, I'll just use customer service.
Hmm.
I took a career break where, um, I gained some different perspectives and also some real life, great usable skills. I had the opportunity to interact with other people in different languages. This could just be if you went
That's
down to
dope.
the Korean store to grab something. Okay? They don't need to know this. And that's the thing. We tell them all our business. They don't need to know our
Yes.
business. Can I do
Yes.
this job? Do you want me to do it? Yes or no? All right. So you could say, I really honed in my skills. I had the opportunity to interact with people who spoke different languages. So that really helped me become more adaptable. Going in different time zones. Again, it could have been from central to mountain, but being in different time zones, being experiencing different cultures, it really allowed me to fill in the blank, right? You want to tie it back to that job. So you
Yes.
learned a greater appreciation for, I gained valuable experience with, and then I always like to put like odd numbers. So, put something like that. If you were a caretaker, you can
Mhm.
tread very lightly because, again, FMLA covers. So the FMLA stands for Freedom, wait a minute, Family Medical Leave Act.
Mhm.
Um, Caring for a family member, an adopted person, I
Mhm.
believe it goes out to like aunt and uncle level. That is
Mhm.
considered a protected class. So you
Mhm.
don't have to explain things to them. If you put on your resume you were a caretaker and you put some of those things, like let's say it's a finance position. So you
Mhm.
had the opportunity to, you were paying bills and you learned general accounting principles or something. Like
Mhm.
another thing is you did. You spent time meeting with contractors and getting bids or things like that, like
Mhm.
house maintenance or preparing meals. Again, think about what this job is. You can, chop and screw it any way that it makes sense to tie them back together. But
Yeah.
but in that, again, you don't have to share that with them. You can say caretaker, and you can say, hey, yes, I was a caretaker for a family member. Again, it could be you, okay? Because there's me, myself, and I in this equation. So like Beyonce say. So I was a caretaker for a family member,
Yes.
where I got them to their appointments, paid the household bills, did whatever. Again, tie it back to whatever that role is.
That's
And,
dope.
you can ask ChatGPT to help you if you need some examples. Like I said, that's what I did for my client. And then we just kind of customize it because some of the things were not applicable, or you put them to a place where you feel comfortable. Once upon a time, I would have been like, that's lying, that's being deceitful. No, okay. I don't have to tell you my business, first of all. I'm choosing to. And again, you can sit in the interview and say, well, I was a caretaker for a family member. With all due respect, I would, really don't want to go into that. But, during that time, I got A, B, and C or whatever. Yes. And then they'll be like, oh, okay. Because again, they know to tread lightly. Plus, do you want somebody, like, let's just say something bad did happen. It was a terminal illness or whatever. Like, do you want somebody sitting up there getting emotional and things? No, they don't want to know that. They just have to. And also real leaders, real interviewers, they're not going to go like, tell me about a time when. No, I've already read your resume. Yeah. I have questions and we're going to have a conversation. Right. Versus me just to check some stuff. HR gave me that stuff. I'm not thinking about this. Like, I'm not asking these, tell me about a time when. I don't care about a time.
Yeah. And Apryl too, like, if you recognize that they are not respecting that boundary and they're going further, that's another red flag from the beginning. Exactly. You don't
want to work for them. Yeah. No, you don't want to work for them.
No, at all. So we talked about how to address these possible sticky situations. I think a lot of Black women, they may not even encounter this, but they are fearful it's going to come up. So they're like, oh my God, what's going to happen? So can we talk a little bit about how do you interview a company? So you have done your research. So what are some things that you can give tips in terms of for Black women to interview the company during the interview? So they're interviewing them.
Yeah. So one thing that I did was I went to LinkedIn and I looked at, when they say like, who works at this company? If I don't see a lot of people that look like me, whether it's male or female, that's a problem for me. If everybody's, I've already been there, done that. I've been the token Black in pretty much every job where I've worked. So I'm not interested in that. We're just gonna leave it at that. So look and see, and again, some of you may say like, well, that doesn't bother me, but if it does bother you, then that's something you want to look out for. Something else that you need to consider, and I just want to take a quick moment to talk about worth. Let's just look at it from a logical perspective. All of the hours that you work at this job, the different tasks that you juggle, how many people's jobs are you actually doing? That's rolled into one. So that right there tells you that and I don't want to be like, I'm a hard worker. You're not, but you do know that you have the ability to work hard. All of these things that is a slippery slope, as I call it. But, again, we're just taking it as surface. Think about those things. Then I want you to view it from this perspective. I know that what I'm bringing to the table. That's where you start. I know that I'm a good employee. I know that I'm a good fit for this job. Otherwise, I wouldn't have applied for it. So you have to have, again, not coming from a place of lack, not coming from a place of desperation. To be clear, you can need the money. You can really, really want the job. All of those things are okay. But at this point, you have to separate them. So you're going in with confidence, even if it's just like a little teeny speck and the rest of you is like this in the corner. And you're going in with confidence. Right. That's attractive to a lot of employers because what if you have to, they say communicate verbally or written, what if you are working on an initiative that has exposure to just say the C-suite or the whole entire organization or whatever, the management team, that right there is an indicator that you are confident, that you're, whether you're not, and to be clear, whether you are or not comfortable with, speaking to leaders within the company, you are comfortable, maybe public speaking. Those are all things that like start to tick off in the interviewer's brain because they will have, some things. Another thing is never come to the interview without questions and ask the questions that you want to know. Now, I'm not like a confrontational or combative person, so I'm not about to be like, yes, why is there no Black people at your company or whatever? Like, again, if that's important to you, don't apply. But if it's not, keep that in mind. Maybe like me, everybody's not on LinkedIn or whatever, so that's something to consider. have a few questions. One I always ask is, walk me through it. If it's applicable, walk me through a typical day. My job's not like that. So walk me through, kind of the, what would I say? Some of the main priorities, or what have you identified as your, fiscal year 2024, in this case, because I just had to do them, like priorities and initiatives. You could say, walk me through some of the general tasks of this role. You can start it off like, I understand that this may be a little bit of a tough question, so I'm not asking for specifics, but if you could kind of just walk me through in any given week what this role looks like. And then with that, what other teams do you all work with? Or and I never leave an interview without asking, why is this position open? Because that's important. And if they say, well, the last person that we have for the job quit, you can ask them what you want to know. So ask them, do you mind, I'm not asking for specifics, but do you mind kind of sharing with me, like why they quit? Or if they say, well, we had to let the other person go, say, can you just share with me a few things and ways that they, maybe fell short of your expectations? You also want to ask, what's the timeline? Like, can you give me a 30, 60, 90 day, timeline? And they should be able to do that. And then you always, always, always want to ask if they, say, do you have any more questions? I make the statement. I tell them, now I know why I would be a good fit for this role and why, you would want me as an employee. But can you tell me why I should come and work here?
Oh, I love that.
And that typically, and again, if you being Black, number one, you being a woman, number two, and you showing up in there with confidence. Again, there's no neck thing. I'm asking you questions. If you hear, oh, that's a great question. Oh, that's a great question. It's a good sign. If you get any type of bad vibes off them, that's not okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And also, like, when they're late, look, I sit there like this and they come on like, hi. I look at my watch and then I look back at them. And then they say, if they tell you, sorry about that, my apologies, the interview ran over, whatever, then they kind of owe you one in some weird way. But if they come on like, all right, so let's get started, boom, another red flag. You don't respect my time. And that means you don't respect anybody's time, because you're just seeing me. You don't know what I look like, for the most part. Like, no. So these are some things, again, you walk in there with confidence. This job may bless your whole entire life. It may change, be the difference between you being able to leave, the country, in 2024, or you got to wait till 2026. It may be the difference, and I'm not being hyperbolic, between life and death, because I really felt like my mental health, like my body was acting out. Like my body was telling me with all type of conditions that it was going to lead. I started having walking seizures, marching seizures, I'm sorry, which are, they sent me to a neurologist because, are you having strokes? Are these like, mini strokes? But it turns out it was like marching seizures, which is essentially, my whole body went from, it's almost like, what did they say? Sleep paralysis. It's almost like that.
I've never even heard of that before.
Yeah. Yeah. Except, you're wide awake when this stuff is happening. And one time I tipped over. One time I tipped over and like my nose was pressed against the couch. And I have there's some things that just creep me out. One of them is being like underwater too long. The other is like suffocating. I can't, if that's on the show or a movie or something, I look away. So I'm like, am I about to die right now doing this? So again, I felt like my body was crying out and screaming. But also my mental health, like how you mentioned, job after job after job. I use the analogy of that first toxic job. And this could be, I started working when I was 14. I've had toxic jobs pretty much my entire career, minus when I was working at the urban store. Okay. The urban at the mall. But otherwise, I really felt as if I was losing my mind. And that is something that you have to think about. As I was saying, that analogy, that first toxic job breaks something, right? It heals up. I don't know if any of you have ever broken anything, but it's not the same. That
integrity.
Huh?
Okay, go on. I'm sorry. So go on. I was going to ask what it breaks. So you said it breaks your
Yeah.
integrity.
So it breaks like the integrity, it breaks the strength,
Mhm.
whatever it was. It could be a finger, it could be an ankle, it could be a leg. It's never going to be the same. Okay. So you break it again because it's weakened. Now you break it again at another toxic job. Now maybe it might be a fracture in a different place. Then you break it again. Now they're putting pins and different things. Now you got to have surgery.
Wow.
And now you're left with, when it gets cold outside, you get aches and pains, or you can't hike, or you can't do any of those things. So I liken that to each of these toxic jobs. It
Oh, that's
just
deep.
continues to weaken and weaken and weaken. And I was at the point where, like, that was it. I
Yeah.
guess amputation is the next stage, but I really felt with I was concerned for my
Yeah.
sanity. I think if I would have just closed my eyes and just leaned forward, not literally, but like there was a cliff that I was standing on the very, very, very end of.
Yeah.
And if I would have just leaned forward and free falled, and again, I'm not being hyperbolic. I don't
No.
know.
I think a lot of Black women, exactly, which is like I'm having a reaction to it because I felt the same way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was like, it was so many things that happened at that toxic job. I thought I was about to lose it. I felt like, I'm a strong Black woman, right? And fighting them and doing all these other things, I had to stop lying to myself that this job was not killing me. Now, even though people around me were telling me, my family, my close friends, my therapist, all of them saying to me, Black woman therapist, shout out to you. I love you. All, saying to me, you got to go, girl. This is going to kill you. But I was so determined that they're not going to run me out of here. I'm going to fight these people. I'm going to fight them, right?
And work harder. Like,
I'm going to work harder, right? That's
not,
the
what
sign
do
of
they say? That's
burnout.
not the flex you think
Burnout,
it is.
you work harder, right? It's counterintuitive. You work harder.
Right.
But you know what you're speaking to, April, is that these toxic jobs impact us physically and mentally. And it impacts not only the quantity, so how long we live, but the quality of our lives. And that's what we're saying. You don't have to live like that. You don't have to live like that. And I'm going to quote you, Stephanie. I know you're here. Stephanie Perry. I love this quote. A job is not a good job if it's killing you. It's not a good job. And if you are so-called accessing those so-called good health benefits because the job is stressing you out, that's not a good job. Those aren't good health benefits. And so, April, I'm so glad you said that, because so many Black women, again, watching this right now, watching this on a replay, the same thing. But you know what happens though, April, and it's the part that really breaks my heart, is when Black women say to me, I'm stuck. I can't go. I can't. I'm injured. Where else am I going to go? Well, there's no other options for me. So, April, what would you say to a Black woman, maybe a client you've had, or maybe a Black woman who's watching us right now, and she is resonating with everything you said, everything I've said, and she's saying, I hear you, but I can't go. I'm burnt out, but I can't go. I don't have the energy to apply for the job. I can't go. I'm stuck. What would you say to her?
Well, the first thing I would say is, you want to tap into some of those benefits that you have, and make you up an exit strategy. And that's what you should do, period. Like, that's another thing, that when you take a job, because I did it, I took this job and I had an exit strategy before I took the job. Before I even went back in as a consultant, like, I knew that this was an ends to a means. I was going to hit the lick and I was going to get out. I was not about to catch feelings like I did before, for my job.
Not catch feelings. Catch feelings. Okay.
Yes. Like that. Okay, look, we were supposed to be in an arrangement. Okay, you knew what it was. I knew what it was. So hold on, wait a minute. Like, why? I done caught feelings. I'm emotionally involved. But yeah. But I'm going to make a video about that.
Please do.
I'll make a video. Because if you notice, I use a lot of examples because I think it just takes the right person saying it in the right way that you can understand. So, and plus, I get to cutting up. But one thing back to the question you asked.
Oh, can I say this too?
Sure.
I appreciate this exchange right now because I want Black women to see also that humor is a form of healing, right? So sometimes we've said in our growing up, we've heard this, I'm a laugh to keep from crying, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we're showing you laughter in a different way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're on the other side. Like we're
Yep.
not still being beat down, right? So showing you that healing is possible. Okay, go on, April. I'm sorry.
No problem. No problem. So first of all is you need to get an exit strategy. And that is unique for every person's financial situation, whatever, their housing situation, things like that. That's something that,
Yeah.
as I tell my clients, as my therapist told me, I like it's all about me because I have the options. I do have choices. Some may be
Hmm.
more difficult, some may take longer. But
Hmm.
what I want to encourage every one of you all to do is
Hmm.
to make 2024 about you. Start
Yes.
now and begin
Yes.
like it's all about me. So
Yes.
what do you want? If you don't want to stay at that job, then don't. Start your exit strategy. If you want to stay at the job but you need a break, then look to
Hmm.
see what those if you have short-term or long-term disability.
Hmm.
It by law has to be confidential when you call
Hmm.
the the disability insurance provider.
Hmm.
And again, you don't need to volunteer anything. You literally don't have to tell these people anything. That is the job of the company to explain to them. And depending on what it is, they encourage you to give them as much notice. You don't even have to do that because you're out on med leave. Take
Yeah.
that time to just breathe, to rest, to
Mm,
hit refresh. So when
yeah.
you go back, your battery is a little bit more recharged.
Hmm.
Something else I would do is pay attention to how much you volunteer for things.
Mm,
Or like, because you feel compelled. I get it. Look, that used to be me. I feel compelled. And every now and again I
mhm,
get ready. Oh, no, you're not. I
mhm,
like in meetings or something, I get an email. I could do it real fast. I
mhm.
run things through a filter. Just because I can do it doesn't mean I have to do it,
True.
doesn't mean I should do it. And if
True.
we made it through that, then it's because I want to do it. All right.
Yes.
So
Yes. Yes.
don't go volunteering. Stop volunteering for
Mm-mm,
work.
mm-mm,
If people are piling stuff on you, because with me, I listened to my therapist. I
mhm,
went in, like I got boundaries, and then people was like pish posh, they weren't listening to it. So that's when I knew I have to leave. Now
mhm,
I left money on the table again.
mhm.
Dr. Kamani, you've had Anne-Marie Archer, the anti-HR lady on here. There are
Yeah.
people who can help you and guide you in the direction of your documentation, what
Mhm,
your rights are, how you can get some type of compensation, things like
mhm,
that. I left money on the table.
mhm,
So, in your exit strategy, think about, have they retaliated? That's another thing. If you take leave and you come back and there are some shenanigans afoot, I'm gonna
mhm.
need you to go watch Dr. Kamani. I think you had 2 videos.
Yeah.
I know you've done some master classes.
Well, let me just shameless plug. Let me just shameless plug right now. Thank you. Because Amory Archer, the anti-HR lady, and I did a masterclass about this. So about severance, about documentation, if you choose to go to HR, retaliation, the whole thing, ladies. Okay. So I'll put the description in the description section about how to get the replay of that. So it's all there. It's all there for
Mm-hmm.
you. Okay. Go
Yep.
on, April.
And in that, because you dared to go against what they want you to do. Again,
Mm-hmm.
I liken corporate America. I
Mm-hmm.
called it that, the plantation.
It
I
is. Yeah. I
firmly
talk about that all
believe,
the time.
I firmly believe that,
All the time.
we have, like, think about it. If you view it in that context, there were people who were free. There were
Mhm.
people who were scared to leave because
Yes.
that's all they've ever known. Or
Yeah.
like you and I was at some point, I was extremely jaded
Yep.
because all of my experiences were bad in corporate, but that was that version of Prill. This
Mhm.
version of me does not take crap. This version of me doesn't volunteer. This version of me sets some clear boundaries, and this
Yep.
version of me respects my own boundaries. That's the
Yes.
difference. And again, this is an evolution. It's not something that has to happen like all at once. But I would
Mhm.
encourage you, if you're watching this and you're like, oh my goodness, like I got to get out of here.
Mhm.
Again, you want to get you an exit strategy if you have to
Yeah.
leave. At minimum, look into what benefits that you've either paid for out of your paycheck or that they've
Mhm.
paid for. It's the least they could do. This company where I work, I don't have to pay out of pocket for any short-term or long-term disability.
Wow.
And because of my level in the company, I get 100% and 80. Some people get 60%. Some people get 30%. Something else too, to give you another plug for your other financial masterclass. Some people have never bothered to stop and look how much money comes in, how much money goes out, how much money they need to even leave their job and take 6 months off, 1 year off. Like you potentially could have that money, but because you've never even explored that, you've convinced yourself that you can't because you can't afford it.
Yeah.
Let
me just say, I did not pay April to say that, right? I did not pay her. But since she talked about it, I'm going to share with you, right? Because on my channel, I like to talk to you about the healing, but also the how to. How do you get out? Okay. So the financial masterclass she's talking about is to get your money right and leave that toxic job. Financial masterclass, which is a collaboration between me and Dr. Roche Brown. Dr. Roche Brown is a financial psychologist. So we're both clinical psychologists. She is also a financial psychologist. And I went to her to get my money together so I could leave that toxic job. And I'm doing so much better financially. I'm not lying to you. Okay. So that masterclass, the replay is available. And we're going to have another live, January 3rd and 4th. So I will put the information, actually I'll put it on the screen in a minute, okay? But I also have a description section about early registration for the January 3rd and 4th. Let me say this, that it is Zoom webinar, okay? Because we know there are so many shady people at these jobs, and we know as Black women that we're very mindful and concerned and worried and scared about who's going to find out we're trying to lead a plantation. Just like a plantation, right? We're trying to escape, and we're like, who's trying to find out who's going to turn me in? So a Zoom webinar format. Only Dr. Roche Brown and I are on the screen. Your names are not listed. You could change your name if you want to do a Q&A, okay? So again, the replay will be available in the description section as well as the early registration. So thank you, Apryl. So in terms of Black women, just recognize we have options. I hope that you're hearing what Apryl and I are saying throughout this whole conversation. We're talking about options. She's talked about researching companies to be prepared. She's talked about how to prepare yourself in terms of resumes, what to do in terms of interviews. She's laid it all out. Now, Apryl, I got to ask you this, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So again, Apryl and I are both in Stephanie Perry's YouTube Success Society, right? Today we had class, right? And Apryl said something. I was like, what did you say? I wrote it down. She said she is on a path to self-discovery. Can you please share with the audience, what do you mean by that? And how does that relate to maybe other Black women who are currently in a toxic job?
Yeah, sure thing. So when I left corporate the last time, I realized that I had no idea who I was. Now, as I mentioned before, I'm very, transparent about it. I got pregnant with my son at 16, had him at 17. I went off to college at 18. As a kid, before I had him, I was very introverted. We used to call it shy, but I paid, thousands in copays for somebody to tell me that I have social anxiety. And I was like, awkward. I was one of the guys, So I can't even look back. There's some of us who can look back over their life and remember a time before you were someone's wife, before you were, someone's partner, before you were someone's mama or whatever, right? I didn't have that. And even those of you who have, you get to a certain place that you're so far removed from who you were, who you dreamed that you would be at this age. Instead of kind of beating yourself up and being hard on yourself, see it as an opportunity. Like, yes, I can reconnect with those dreams, but that's what I had to do. I realized I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I liked. I remember sitting on a couch, or my couch, my spot where I be in my videos, but because that's my spot in real life. But I was sitting on the couch and I was like, I don't have to wear my hair back in the bun. I used to do like the little swoop-a-doop in the front. I would have it in the bun. Now, if it was Friday, okay, and we could dress down, then I would put it to the side if I was feeling sassy. But I don't have to. Also, I can celebrate my body. I got a lot going on. I always have. My dad used to call me, your sisters look like your mama, but you're my brick house. Like, I would play so small and hide my
Mhm.
body, because I had
Mhm.
experience at other jobs where that seemed to give these white men license to say certain things to me, and even in one instance get physical with me. Yeah, and you
That's
know, when you got the hee hee and try to like scurry to get, you know,
horrible.
blocked in the corner. So I learned over the years how to protect myself. I
Mhm.
know you guys don't want me there anyway. Again, I'm going to work hard to prove to you that I deserve to be here. But let me
Mhm.
just hang in the background. Again, I
Mhm.
think we mentioned that dance.
Yeah.
Be smart, but not too smart. Be
Right.
assertive and not too passive. But don't be too
Right.
assertive. You know, don't raise your voice too much. You know, because then you're being angry. But also
And the
don't.
tone policing. Yeah.
Right, just all type
Yeah.
of things. And I told my therapist, I don't want to do this again. It
Mhm.
was again how you mentioned. Yes, we and those jobs are the common denominator. But when you remove stuff and you're left with yourself, which me,
Mhm.
I worked because I was, you know, in my 30s and 40s. My son was grown, gone out the house. Like I don't know who I am at all. So I'm just
Mhm.
gonna work. I work to escape a bunch of things. And,
Mhm.
you know, for those of you who see it as like, I'm stuck, you're
Mhm.
not stuck. You just
Right.
don't have a plan. You
Yeah.
are not, and again, this is not like you are not, but you know, you're not in community with
Mhm.
like-minded women. So think about it. If you work in a, no matter what your job is, if you work
Mhm.
there and you understand it inside and out, think about having to explain what you do. And I mean, it doesn't matter if you work at McDonald's. Think
Mhm.
about trying to explain what you do to somebody else that
Mhm.
doesn't know anything about food service or whatever, right? You
Mhm.
have to use your brain. You have to think about how to, you know, dumb it down in my case, or
Mhm.
put it in certain terms.
Mhm.
You have to, and you may even be like, well, I'm not even going to mention it, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, that's how it is, you know?
Mhm.
Like, again, I love to give the examples, but you have to view it in that way. Like
Yeah.
when you are in community with people who get it, I don't care
Mhm.
whether you are a business owner existing, you want to start a business, whether you want to
Mhm.
move abroad, whether you want to leave a toxic job to find out if you're in a toxic job, whether you want to
Mhm.
plan your life, house it, anything, like fill in the blank, get
Yeah.
in community with people that you don't have to code switch with, or that you don't have to like think to explain it. You just talk. They're there to
Or
support
dim
you.
your light. Feel like you have to dim
Yeah.
your light
And
because they're
that like build
intimidated.
you up. It,
Yes.
you know, getting in
Yeah.
community with women that I have met from Exodus Summit and through Exodus Summit and the Facebook
Mhm.
group and the YouTube challenge. And it's like I have women that they encourage, like they are genuinely happy for me. And this is my
Yes.
first time experiencing that with Black women. Again, jaded from some, you know, many experiences that I'm just like, I'm not even about to mess and let them in my inner, you know, circle like that.
Yeah.
Only
But
select
it's a
few
trauma
can do that.
reaction, right? When you
Yeah,
get
yeah,
hurt, you become
yeah.
very protective, right?
And you want to
Yes.
protect yourself, you know?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. So this leads to my segue to you
Oh,
to
yeah.
talk about your offering. So
Oh,
what do you have to offer to Black women about self-discovery and connecting to our goals and our dreams? All these things that jobs, the toxic jobs rob from us.
hmm.
Tell us how your offer helps Black women reconnect to those things.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm very excited about this. Those of you who are watching right now, you are in Dr. Kamani's community or, you know, adjacent. And I mentioned when I was here the last time about a planning session that I was like planning on doing, but now it's like it's in the works. I am doing Plan Your 2024 with me. I'm going to be adding some things as well because, you know, as I mentioned on the call earlier today, this SAG after strike still isn't over. So now I have to readjust some of my goals. I want things for my business
Mhm.
to, you know, launch that again. If you are looking to leave your toxic job, if you are looking to, you know, save money or earn more money or move abroad, like whatever it is that you want to do, we are going to walk through um, 5 different areas that are for you and solely for you. Other people may benefit from it, but we're not thinking about them. We're thinking about how can you get the max benefit? Because too many times, you know, we say like new year, new me, or people do these like, here's this activity you can do. And we don't stick to it because this is not one size fits all. We are all extremely
Mhm.
nuanced Oopsie, my glasses. We have combinations and permutations that make each and every one of us unique.
Yes.
And I want to again promote turning inward, reconnecting you with your dreams. It's like rediscover your dreams. We're going to identify some of the obstacles that may be holding you back. We are going to make a plan, again, that's created by you and tailored to you. And we're going to set some goals. That was the second bullet. I was trying to think of what it was. So the second bullet is we're going to do goal setting, but it's not just the typical goal setting. I've got plenty of examples, and it's going to be a workshop. I'm going to talk, and then we're going to work together. And then I'll do some more talking. We'll do some more. It also is going to be where if you want to be on camera, great. You don't have to be. And then the waiting list is available right now. I am. You say what? I'm sorry.
It's on the screen, everybody. It's on the screen.
So the waiting list is open. We're going to keep this small. I have a feeling I'm going to have to do another session in January, but it's going to be December 17th, which is a Sunday. We're going to spend about an hour and a half or so. I may do an optional Q&A, for people who want to stick around. But I am a stickler for time, as I mentioned. So if this is something that you cannot attend or like maybe, then, that's fine. You're not going to miss out. I know there's like FOMO happening, but I want that opportunity to be available for someone that's on the wait list. And what I'm doing for your community, because you guys are the only one who've heard me talk about this, but if you are on the wait list, I'm going to open it up and I'll send you an email allowing you to be able to purchase on Wednesday. Otherwise, when I go live on Thursday, which I'm starting to do, beginning every Thursday, I'm going to start going live and discussing some of these things that we've even mentioned tonight. I'm going to promote it there. So that's the first bonus is you all get to join, have opportunity to purchase yours early. The other thing is because your audience has just been showing me so much love, I've gotten, people watching my videos. Again, this is a new YouTube channel and, I'm still getting my sea legs. I want to offer the recordings. Again, this is a live workshop. So I'm not offering recordings. And if I do, it's going to be as a separate product that people can watch the replay. But I want to offer you all the recordings again, because your community is technically my day one. So
I love it. So let me ask something, Apryl. 2 questions.
Yeah.
How will you know they're coming from this community so they can access these things?
Oh, well, whoever is on the waiting list.
Okay.
That's who is going to get the email on Wednesday. Right. So keep an eye out. If you're on the waiting list, keep an eye out on Wednesday first thing for an email from me with the link to purchase and giving, some more information. I did zhuzh up the wait list a little bit more so that you can see the wait list landing page. You can see, a little bit more in detail what is going to be happening in the date. And I got a little countdown timer. But I know they've come from you because you're the only other channel that I've been on lately, and you're the only one who your community is the only one that I've discussed this with. So
awesome.
I want to keep it to 20. I know that there were 15 people. I checked before I did this. There were 15 people on the wait list. I'm also going to offer this to my prior clients that I got to dust off that email list, but they'll be all right. So, I and I'm not saying this is like, as some like marketing ploy or whatever, but I do want to keep this small. Yes. Like I said, around 20 people. And I want to give your community the opportunity because they are the ones who, they followed my call to action and signed up for the waiting list. So they've expressed interest.
I love it. And can you tell a little bit about your YouTube channel so they can support you?
Sure. Okay. So my YouTube channel previously was this it's me talking. It's me wanting to do it, but I got kind of sucked into perfectionism. And I talked about it in a video my last video that I did. And to really give myself, again, shortcuts. I'm all about shortcuts. I love going live. So why not go live? So that's what I'm going to start doing. And we're going to talk about, I already know what we're going to talk about coming up next Thursday. I want to talk about a little bit more on some of these red flags I mentioned. Give the opportunity for people to ask questions, just like you did.
Good.
I want you to ask questions, that
Yeah.
you may have left over from this video. So when I
Mhm.
put the little live thumbnail up there, I'm going to note in the comments, please let me know your questions, because those are the ones that I'm going to answer first. But yeah, my YouTube channel was really about, the highs and the lows of my experiences, having worked in these toxic jobs, having left corporate, having been extremely successful business owner, gotten burnt out in business, and returning back to corporate. And really, again, like, it focuses on you. I'm pointing to myself,
Mhm.
but it focuses on you all.
Yeah.
And really for you to be able to turn inward, because we haven't been able to.
Yeah.
We have not been able to do things that are just for us, and we feel guilty in doing it. So it'll be very similar to this, where I talk about, like, I similar to you, I like to talk about the how and the why behind the what. Like, we know the
Yeah.
what, that's who we
Yeah.
are right now, or that's,
Yeah.
how did we end up at yet another job and in this place?
Right.
Let's talk about the how and the why, so we can course correct, so we can rediscover those dreams, so we can
Mhm.
remember what we liked that got us even into this career, or even
Yeah.
if it was like happenstance or serendipitous, what are some of the things that we enjoy? Because I have a lot of joy. That doesn't mean that every now and again that some of these things don't try to jump up on your girl in a different way, because it can't use the same old ploys that it did before. So it may
Right.
show up as a different way. And it's not about being perfect. It's
Mhm.
about progress over perfection.
Mhm.
There is no perfect, because as you grow, your needs, your wants, your desires, your non-negotiables, that's all going to change as well.
Yeah.
It's a natural progression. So those are the things that we'll be discussing. I can also tell you all, I don't know why I just started like lowered my voice. I stopped
It's like
myself
this
and
is me and
leaned in,
you,
but
right?
I started to lean in. But I'm going to tell you all, I'm going to do a debt confession. I mentioned earlier that I was in some serious debt. I'm going to do a debt confession to show you exactly how
Oh,
much
I
I
love
was
that.
in. And then I'm going to talk to you about the ways that I was able to knock that debt out. Lickety split. I've paid um, almost $90,000 since and this has been in a year and like 3-4 months that I've been
Wow.
doing this. Yeah. And I boosted up my savings. I boosted up my, retirement accounts, things like that. So it doesn't matter whether you got, 50,000, whether you got 5,000, whether you got, 500,000, which, spoiler alert, mine was close to that. So again, like, there's some things that you can do.
Yeah.
I'm always going to talk about and have these things be easy to understand and digestible, because it can
Yeah.
be overwhelming. I know I was overwhelmed. There's a lot of people shouting and vying for your attention, and that's not even mentioning the insecurities that you may be feeling, the lack of confidence, the
Yeah.
fear that you may be
Yeah.
feeling, anxiety. So it's
Yeah.
important for me, again, to explain it and with my different examples, explain how to do it. And then that's when you have the opportunity to say, like, how does this show up in my life?
Yeah.
How does this apply to me? When have I
Yeah.
done this? And again, we all want to, you know, be free and be delivered from like these
Girl.
chains. We are free. We just don't know it
Girl.
yet. We have been
But
emancipated. We just don't
but
know it.
we're not free when
Well,
we
not here,
have so many
especially.
mental, right.
Yeah.
The mental, we need mental liberation. And
Yeah.
part of the mental liberation comes from seeing that there's another way, not being ashamed about our situations or what we've gone
Mm-hmm.
through, right? And money, that's a big one. A lot of us become so ashamed about our finances, or we just avoid it. Like, we don't even talk about it. And that's something we talk about in the financial masterclass. We get up close and personal with your money. Well, you get up
Mm-hmm.
close and personal with your money, but we talk about
Yep.
how to do that. But that's so important to do that. And I think that what's so powerful about that, April, is that you have a level of vulnerability and transparency and authenticity that I think
Mm-hmm.
people really resonate with. And
Thank
so
you.
when you share your story, like, hey, I'm sharing this with you to help you. And I think that is so beneficial. Now, something else I want to say too is that um, you're talking about the transformation for Black women to go from serious burnout to the point where, like you said, serious physical, mental health issues, serious. And
Mm-hmm.
you're talking about experiencing that burnout, totally just whatever, taking a step back, doing your own business, going back into corporate, time limited, because you know there's something else for your life. But you're showing the transformation. You're talking about you're living the transformation. You're modeling the transformation. And I think that's what's so powerful, April. I think that's what people are really resonating with. Now, something else I wanted to say before we go to the chat, and everybody sign up for the class. It's right there on my screen, right? And I'll put it also in the description section, and give this video a thumbs up. But something else I want to say too, April, is that sometimes for Black women, they might this is what happens a lot for me with consultation calls. They'll contact me the day before they need to go back to the job or the weekend before they got to go back to the job, right? And they're like, oh my God, I got to go back. And so it's nothing I can really do to make it better for you. But I think what's important to remember is that if you take a leave, and I hope everyone's able to take a leave, if you're in a toxic job, please try to find out how to take a leave. Please do that. I did it. I'm so glad I did.
Yep.
So I didn't come back. Right? I took my leave of absence, and I was like, I'm done. Effective immediately. I'm out of here. I'm not coming back.
Me neither.
But if you choose to go back,
sent it to me. Yeah,
girl.
I didn't go back. I exhausted the short-term disability. I exhausted the long-term disability. The company where I previously worked held my job for a year and gave me my insurance benefits and everything. I mean, the job had these great benefits, but again, it was just highly manipulative, and it was, I had overstayed my welcome.
It wasn't great.
It wasn't the right fit for me. Yeah, but I didn't go back. I coasted off that for like 2 years. Please.
Yeah. But the thing is this, right? So if you choose to go back, unlike April and I, because we didn't go back, right? We took a leave and didn't go back. Okay. If you choose to go back, just be mindful of this. Okay. As you're going back into that workplace, think about what is your safety plan. So now I say this, and I'm so serious. The healing is probably very hard because you're continuing to be traumatized. You're continuing to go into the fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
The healing may not. However, what can you do to help yourself in terms of the safety planning? So to help mitigate the harm. So possibly the harm might be, can you go in and say to yourself, okay, I'm going in, but I am setting boundaries. I'm not volunteering for extra stuff. I am not sharing my personal business with other people. My colleagues, my coworkers who are asking about my personal business, I'm not sharing with them about my personal business. I am participating in therapy. I'm in therapy, right? Now, the part about therapy, why it's so important, is that when you're in a toxic job, right, there's so much gaslighting that happens. The danger of that is when you start self-gaslighting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Be very mindful of that. So the self-gaslighting, that's when it gets in your head and you start questioning yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Then you start questioning your self-worth. Then you start questioning, like, am I seeing things right? It's not healthy. So therapy helps you to reality test. Somebody objective is able to reality test with you. I cannot stress enough. Do not tell your coworkers. Do not talk to your coworkers about, did you think that, or what did you think? Don't gossip with them. It does not turn out well for you. Okay, please don't do that. Then the other thing I want to say to you is, if you have to go back, think about, okay, so how long do I need to be here? So start working on your exit planning.
Mm-hmm.
So exit planning might be watching my videos, watching April's videos, going to her class, going to my master classes. What can you do to start preparing so you can start exit planning? But that's part of the process, to know it's time limited that you're going back into that job. If you have to go back, start getting these things in order so that even if you have to go back, it's time limited. It's time limited. So remember that, okay? So before I read the chat, again, I want to say to everybody, give this video a thumbs up. Give this video a thumbs up. And as I'm talking right now, you can start sharing the video of the Black women right now, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And for sure, when the video's over, share this video with at least 2 other Black women, okay? Because we got to help our sisters out. If you know a Black woman, she's probably in a toxic job too. Unfortunately, I shouldn't laugh at that, but it's true. It's true. That's what's so sad. Okay, so the chat. While the timing of this one will definitely be in the chat for this one and sharing. Awesome. Looking forward to discussion. So I shared about April's information, and then here is information for the financial masterclass that I mentioned before that gets your money right and leaves that toxic job. Financial masterclass with Dr. Roche Brown. And so that's the live that's coming up January 3rd and 4th for early registration. If you cannot wait till January and you need it now, I'll put the information in the description section about how to get the recording. Okay. Okay. People saying hello. Good evening, everyone. I will only do remote. Never again will I be in a location of toxicity. Thank goodness. I love it. Amen. That in the office grind is played. Never again. Thanks for asking that question, Dr. Kamani. Oh, wow. Didn't know LinkedIn had a career break option. I didn't know that either. That's awesome. Okay. If I would have listened to my intuition, I would have avoided several horrible jobs. Shaking my head. I remember being relieved when I thought I did not get the job and then still took the job later. No more. Yes. We got to pay attention to what our intuition is saying, right? Yes. So yes, like button, give us a like button. I have a ton of experience, but no degree. And that has always been a setback for me. Okay. Can you speak to that, Apryl?
Oh, yeah. It's only a setback if you are applying to companies that require that, which again, if they require you and it doesn't say, and, X amount of years of experience or, relevant work experience, then that's not where you want to work. Because again, they're inflexible. Something else is, again, let's turn inward for a second. Is it a setback, potentially because you see those jobs? Is it possible that it could be a setback to you and you only? And by that, I mean, have you looked outside of your area? And if you don't have a degree, then you have lots of experience in something. Have you looked outside of maybe traditionally where you have worked historically to see, or even look at jobs that no degree is required? So don't even look at those things that don't apply to you, because all it's going to do is, potentially it may have you feeling less than. And let me say real quick about remote jobs. Por ejemplo, this job where I work, the company is 100% remote and there's thousands of employees.
Wow.
I can work from anywhere. Not like, no, I can work from anywhere as long as it is not a restricted jurisdiction per the United States Department of Treasury. Like, as long as we don't have any sanctions on that country, I can work wherever I want to.
That's great.
So that's something else too. I refuse. I will never. And I don't say never very often, but I've continued saying this when I left. Now, when I said it at the time, I thought I was saying I will never work back in corporate again, but I said I will never step foot into anyone's office again. Again, that was me looking at it from that perspective. I still have never set foot into anyone's office again, nor do I plan to. So again, what are your non-negotiables? Again, turn inward. Are you looking at these jobs that have it? If so, stop it, because it's not gonna, make you feel better. Also, are you looking based on skills? As I mentioned before, every last person on my team that I've hired since I've been in this position, and our team has grown almost double. I could care less about degrees. As a matter of fact, depending on how much you talk about it, that's a problem for me. If you're in here bloviating about your degree, who cares? Okay, I got 3 degrees. Like, do you want to talk about degrees? Okay, no, like that's not important to me. I want to learn, and this is what good employers, good managers and leaders want to know. Simply, do you have the skill set to perform the job, and how long is it going to take you to kind of be on your own, barring, occasional things that you run into? Like, what is your ramp up time? That's what I'm looking for. So, don't let that discourage you. And I'm not saying that, please, when you hear me say anything, it is coming from a place of love, because I say self-awareness is key. If you ask me what changed in me, it's the self-awareness. And again, I had to turn inward. I thought I was self-aware about some things, but I had no idea who I was. So I had no
Yeah.
true self-awareness. So when I say that to you and you look at it, please don't, my hope is that you don't take it as I'm trying to be attacking you or condemning you. But I do want you to, do a little exercise. I love giving exercises. I want you specifically, and whomever is listening,
Mm-hmm.
I want you to look at your skill set and
Mm-hmm.
look at jobs by those key words.
Mm.
Don't look necessarily by like, oh, customer service or oh, finance this. I want you to just look by some keywords that
Mm-hmm.
you do as far as your skill set and look to see what pulls. Again, I'm in a completely different industry.
Mm.
Still has the same intersection because the
Mm-hmm.
law is the law.
Mm-hmm.
Moving money is moving money. But
Mm-hmm.
I would have never known that this existed and that I can use my skills elsewhere to
Mm-hmm.
work half as much for twice as the money.
Yeah. So
Again,
the
I just
skill
encourage you
set.
to step outside of that and just look by skills instead of by the
Yeah.
title.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, April.
Mm-hmm.
Great question. It's not lying. Oh, she's talking about when you say caretaking for yourself. That's not lying. I love
Hold
that.
on, and for my saints out there, okay? The Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. All right. Look, okay, you have the Blessed Trinity with you. That's who you were in contact with. Okay. Look, what happened?
Right, right.
Okay.
100%. I'm loving this conversation too. It's right on time for me. Good. It's so sad that there are people who consistently cause us distress and aggravation when we inevitably deal with the same toxicity from other people's bias towards us. How to deal with these people? What are your thoughts about that, April?
This is again
I
turn
have a thought. I
inward.
have some thoughts too, but I'm gonna let you go first.
Yeah. So I want you to think about this. Why are you so concerned with impressing, pony up with, getting approval from, being friends with people that A, don't like you, and B,
Mm-hmm.
you don't even like? Like,
Mm-hmm.
think about that. Think about the effort that you're putting into these people. Now, if you stop associating and being, engaging, you don't get paid to engage. You don't get paid to socialize. You get paid to do work. I'm going to let you know right now, that's going to become an issue for some people because they want you to be, the good magical Negro. They want you to do as you're told. And it really,
Yes.
really, oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying yes. I'm like feeling what she's saying. Yes.
Yeah.
The
So,
magical Negro.
that's that. So I'm
Yes.
going to tell you off rip in the high 99th percentile, it's almost guaranteed that they are going to feel some type of way about it.
Yes.
Again, you should be grateful, as I was told when I ran off from my two career breaks. Both of them told me years apart, I should be grateful. So
Wow.
that is how they view you. And this is honestly, let's be clear, we got to put everybody in here. And
Mm-hmm.
we can take some people out. This is not all white people are bad. This is
Mm-hmm.
not as you say, all skin folk and kin folk. So
And can I
we
say
can't
this
group
too?
everybody in.
Can I just say this too? When you
Sure.
say white people, I just want us to be clear that because the people who terrorized me at that toxic job, they were not white people, right? That it's anybody engaging in white supremacist behaviors. They could be other black people, they could be other so-called BIPOC people, they could be
Mm-hmm.
anybody, but anybody engaging in that behavior. So I just have to say that too.
Yep, no problem. That's what, again, intuition.
Mm-hmm.
And when you mention the gaslighting and the self gaslighting, you will second guess yourself
Mm-hmm.
many times. I do at least once a week. Like, should I be? Oh, should I? But it's like this. Instead of
Yeah.
it's something that you like lament over and you
Yeah.
think about it, and it
Yeah.
starts playing on the track in your head over
Yeah.
all the other tracks that are playing in your head. You don't allow anyone or even yourself to deny your intuition. I think that humans have intuition, women have intuition, but Black women, we are truly magical. We are
Mm-hmm.
ethereal. We are,
Mm-hmm.
gifts from God for
Mm-hmm.
everybody. We need to be
Mm-hmm.
a gift from, to ourselves.
Yes.
One thing that also I encourage you when you're thinking about like, I can't do this, and you can, it'll be hard, it'll be
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable. feel
Mhm.
wrong, fill in the blank with all the other emotions you're going to go through. But
Mhm.
I want you to think about this. If you had your best girlfriend or
Mhm.
even guy friend, if somebody that you love, a family member came to you and they echoed all the things that, are in your life, in your, particular circumstances,
Mhm.
and they said to you, I got this, I got freaking 250 hours of vacation. I know that, I checked my benefits. I went that far and I checked and I could take a leave of absence or whatever and still get paid. What would you say to them? Are you going
Mhm.
to be like, you better not leave that good job because, they're going to get you. They're going to do. No, you're going to say like, well, I support you.
Yeah.
I think you should take this leave, or maybe just at minimum start taking some vacation days, long weekends, or whatever. I want you to turn inward and look at yourself with that. Be a
Yeah.
friend to yourself.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
things that we echo in our minds, the emotions that we have, they feel so real. It feels
Yeah.
like we cannot get off this merry-go-round. As you mentioned, stuck. We feel scared. These are all
Mhm.
human
Mhm.
emotions, God-given emotions. Now,
Yeah.
what you don't want to do is stay in that place too long, because then
Yeah.
you'll start making permanent decisions based on temporary emotions, and that's something you want to stay away from. But the way that you feel, it's natural. So
Yes.
feel all your feelings, feel them
Yes.
all.
Yes.
And, pay attention to your intuition. If it doesn't feel good to talk to these people, stop. If you forget, if you don't want to, I never engaged in small talk. I can't stand small
I would
talk.
just say, I would even say this. Even if it does feel okay, don't share with them your personal business.
Oh, God, no.
Don't do it because they will weaponize it some kind of way. They're going to gossip, right? So I would say, right? So we know that as Black women, if you got that job, more than likely you are up and above everybody there. Up and
Mm-hmm.
above, because we don't get passes. They don't just give us a job like they give these other people jobs who are not qualified.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody, I don't know who said this, but I love it. That, what did they say? They said the other people around you are more than likely mediocre at best. You are shining. Okay. So when you say what's wrong with these people, they are deeply insecure because they know you're dope. They are
Yeah.
deeply insecure. And so they see you. And so they're like, whoa. So that shines a mirror to them. And Alicia
Mm-hmm.
Bernice did some videos about this. And I did some reaction videos about this, about the whole thing about imposter syndrome and, feeling like you're an imposter. I ask you, I want you to think about who are the real imposters at your job? More than likely, it's not you, it's them, because
Mm-hmm.
they are so insecure. They're going to try to throw you under the bus. They're going to try to do all these things to, number one, distract other people from their own
Yeah.
inferiority, right?
Inadequacies. Yeah.
Inadequacies, and they're lying to themselves. So if they can focus on you and putting you down, it distracts them from their own inadequacy, right? So that's called projected incompetence. It's called projected insecurities, right? Be mindful of that. So when you say how to deal with them, I would say the main thing is maintain boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Do not tell them your personal business. You are there to do a job. Be mindful of what you're there for. And don't try to figure out and try to befriend them. And don't do that. Okay. Because insecure people are dangerous. They're dangerous because they will take down anybody that they need to. Anybody
Mm-hmm.
who they perceive as a threat,
Yep.
they will
Pet the
try to
threat.
take you down. Pet the Threat, right? So Pet the Threat. Watch the videos on my YouTube channel, Pet the Threat. And I gotta say their names.
Do
Right?
it.
So the three Black women researchers, and the reason I want to say their names, everybody watching this, is because when I talked to these three Black women researchers, I talked to two of them, right? When I talked to them, they told me that people use the term pet to threat and don't give them credit. So I will always say their names, okay? So you're gonna know
Mm-hmm.
their names too, okay? So Dr. Juanita Johnson Bailey, Dr. Keisha Thomas, Dr. Rosemary Phelps, okay? So Pet to Threat deals with when a Black woman comes into the workplace and she is doing it, right? April's so smart. We love April. Oh my gosh, she's magical. She is just transformation. We love April. We love her. She's a pet, right? Then April starts outshining other people in the workplace. Then it shifts, right? She
Mm-hmm.
goes from pet to threat. They start trying to treat her some kind of way. So again, be mindful of the dynamics at your job And don't start personalizing like, what's wrong with me? No,
Nothing.
it's not you. It's
Mm-hmm.
not you. It's the racism, sexism, and deeply insecure people. Okay. So you
Mm-hmm.
deal with them in terms of boundaries. Now, if it becomes so ridiculous and they're trying to throw you under the bus all the time and sabotage you and micromanage you, I just invite you to think, is this the place for me? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you to think about how do I deal with them. I want you to think about, is this the place for me? And if not, think about what your options are to leave. Okay. Because it's not even worth it. It's not worth
Mm-hmm.
it.
It's
Yes,
not.
that's so true. They are everywhere we go. Yes, they are. The toxic jobs weather us. Yes. So I did some videos about weathering. So weathering, um, in fact, I'm gonna have some medical doctors on next week. So next week I'm gonna have a panel of medical doctors on talking about the research, because I've cited the research. You're gonna hear from Black medical doctors next week talking about the impact of stress and the negative health outcomes. One of the things is weathering. So, weathering deals with when you're under a lot of stress, it can cause your organs to age. So, you could be one age, but your organs are much older. Okay. So, tune in next week. Okay. We're going to talk more
Oh,
about that.
that's juicy. Okay.
Girl, what are some coping strategies in the workplace in dealing with people who don't want you to succeed? That goes back to what I'm saying again, right? So, we have to think about, are you cope? I hope you're coping short term. I hope
Right.
it's
We
a
shouldn't
short
be
term
coping.
thing. Right. Like, okay, I'm out of here in a year. I'm out of here in 6 months. I'm out of here, right? I don't want you to feel like that is your responsibility to cope to a dysfunctional system. The system is dysfunctional. It's not one or two people, it's the whole system is toxic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So be mindful when you start thinking like that. I hope you're talking about short term coping, right? If you're coming to my channel to look for long term coping about a toxic job, this is not the channel for you because I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not. I'm going to tell you to get out. Okay. I'm telling you to get out. It's a bad sign. Um, yes, this is so true. The better you are at your job, the bigger target on your back. Yes.
Yep.
And that's a sign of a toxic job. Okay. People have asked me, what is a toxic job? I say it's different for everybody, but that is a classic symptom of a toxic job. The same type of people are everywhere, same mindset, same games. We need to learn how to deal with them or work for ourselves. Boom. You couldn't have said it better. Okay. Yes. I learned to not go over and beyond. I do what I need to do to get what I want, no more, no less. They
That's
will
right.
not be in my life. It's not worth it. Boom. Excellent. Yes. I stopped volunteering for work this year and I have less stress. Good. My blood pressure
Yay.
decreased and people around me say my mood is lighter. Yes. Right? It impacts your physical and your mental health. Yes.
Can I say
Yes. Go
something
on.
real quick?
Yes. 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 Yes.
Something that, if people say, like, how do I know if I'm burnt out? One of the things I say is, like, do you talk about your job all the time? Is it consuming the conversation? Because you
Does
can't
everybody
help
in
it.
your
You have to
family,
get
all
there.
your friends know about your job? They know
They
about the
know.
people.
Everybody knows. How much time do you spend talking about your job? And that is an
Mm,
indicator because you're so stressed. It's like a
mm.
pressure cooker and you just are trying to let a little bit off and it builds back up. Let some off, it builds back up.
It's
It's
all
consuming.
consuming.
Yeah, it's too much.
It's too much.
That's not sustainable.
It's
Anyway,
too much. It's too much. Okay.
hmm
Congratulations on making that decision, seeing the benefits. I didn't volunteer. They would always volunteer me. Of course they would. It's like we always stand out. We can never not be noticed. Seems like
yeah,
I would always get pulled into initiatives and projects, but I learned no more. Good. Congratulations. Great conversation. Great tips. Thank you. Thanks. I stopped being the workhorse. Yes, I'm thinking about James Baldwin. When you talk about the good magical Negro, I'm thinking
hmm
about James Baldwin talking about, I'm not your Negro. I'm not playing with you. I'm not doing
right.
it. What? Yes, options are so important and empowering. My boss tried to volunteer me for additional duties. We went back and forth via email, and I held my ground and politely refused. Eventually, he acquiesced. Good. Congratulations for
Good.
doing that. You're welcome. Yes, you have to shift your mindset first. Before I quit, I just made the decision to stop. Took the laptop home every day, but stopped opening it. I stopped doing all that extra. Good. I love it.
That's
I
right.
love it.
Yeah.
I learned through that too. It's an awesome feeling to not be taken advantage of. Yes, it is. To take your power back. Absolutely. Me
hmm
too. I understand he might try to give me a poor performance review this year because he's petty. I'm still a high performer, even though I'm not taking on as many duties. Sis, I would just, I'm just saying, you might want to start getting an exit plan together. Okay.
Yep.
Don't wait for that. Don't wait for that nonsense. Okay.
They will
I left,
retaliate and get with Anne-Marie Archer.
yes. Yes. Get the Masterclass replay. Okay.
Yeah.
Get the Masterclass replay with Amory Archer, right?
Yep.
That's to save yourself, channeling inner Harriet, so you can leave that toxic, hostile job with your sanity and coins. Get that.
Yep.
Okay. I left my toxic job. I'm ready to get back to the workforce after having a career break. I hope this video is helpful for you about that. Love the workshop idea. I'm planning on doing a similar session. Good. I just signed up for the wait list for April.
Yay!
They're
Thank
asking again,
you.
what is the name of your YouTube channel? What's the name of it?
Positively Apryl. It's
Positively
my name.
Pro.
Yep. Yep. At
Okay.
Positively Apryl. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll put that in the description section as well. Congratulations on your career break. Deciding on what happens at my job. I'll be taking one either this year or next year. Yes, please do it.
Yes.
Do it. I've been loving my break. It's the first time I've ever done it. Good for you too. That break, first of all, I knew I had to take a break. I could not even imagine going back there. I could not even imagine. So again, if you're able to take a break, please do so. Thank you so much. I watch this channel all the time on replay. Oh, thank you. This is the first time I was able to watch live. When I saw the guest name was April, I knew this particular session was for me. A blessing. Yes. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you. How many weeks did you go? I was approved for FMLA, but not short-term disability. I'm not sure she was asking how many weeks did you go. I'm not quite sure. These YouTube communities have been helpful and empowering. Good. What should I do or say on my first day back to my boss and virtual coworkers?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay, boom. That's
And
good.
also when they say like, oh, you got to tell them I have emails to go through. Take your time. Again, you were out on leave. They don't know if you were out, for stress or if you had back surgery.
They don't know. It's none of your business. None of your business.
Yeah, they don't know by law. And
Yeah.
if they do know, that's what I say. If you notice some shenanigans afoot, that is where your masterclass replay will come in handy, because you want to start documenting things. You want to make sure that you have yourself set up to be able to leave that job, because they do retaliate. Like, let's be clear.
They do.
There's laws against retaliation. There's laws that you got to keep people's job, like all those things. But these laws, these policies are enforced by humans.
True.
And if a human is pissed, they're about to get petty. So,
and the system, they protect each other. So it's not just one human, it's the whole system.
Yes.
The whole system.
This system is designed for white men, not women. Because think about it, women stayed at home. Even as recent as the 90s, I had, well, that's a long time ago, but I had to, like early 2000s, I had people saying, well, what about your husband? What, shouldn't you be at home? Shouldn't you? And the expectation too is, even if you do work full time, and this is, no knock against anybody's partner, spouses, man, woman, whatever, they expect you to still do certain things if there's that, that dynamic. So that's what I'm saying. You don't owe those people any explanation.
No.
Take your time. If you, and here's what you can do. If they start coming with that shenanigans, then you go back out on leave.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a fan of extending your leave as long as possible. And I don't know if maybe that's what she was asking. Like, how long did I take? I took 2.5 years.
I took a year. I took a year.
2.5 years. Yeah. I was getting paid in one way or another by that company up until the 2.5 year point.
And let me just say this, full transparency, right? You got paid. Mine was an unpaid leave. And I would do it in a second.
All over again,
Second again, right? I was able to find a way to replace my income, okay? And that's what we talk about in the masterclass, in the financial masterclass. I was on it. You know what I'm saying? You're like, I'm done. Okay, how do I make money? Because I'm out of here, okay? So you can still take a leave. It could be paid or unpaid, regardless. My sanity, my health was more important than trying to be there, because I don't think I would have made it. I really don't.
It's priceless. You can't put an amount on peace, and like you said, your sanity, your
My
physical health,
sanity. And I'm a
your emotional
psychologist.
health.
You
Yeah.
gonna try to drive me crazy. I'm a psychologist. How am I gonna help other people? Makes no sense, right? Makes no sense. Has anyone done intermittent FMLA? I don't know. Have you've done it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So intermittent FMLA is really where you want to start, to be
Hmm.
honest with you. You have your therapist, your doctor say that due to, I started
Mm,
mine with severe migraines. I was having severe migraines
mm,
because you need some time to be able to get the forms and stuff filled out for the
mhm,
short-term disability or the FMLA forms. But yeah, intermittent leave falls under FMLA, and that is when, for example, say some of you all go into work. It can be because of your migraines. It's best that you work from home
mhm,
100%. That's a reasonable accommodation. That's
mhm,
considered a reasonable accommodation.
mhm.
Or you work from home on the days that you have your migraines, which could be, you know, they can
Every
guesstimate
day.
1 to 3 days a week, but it could
Yeah.
also be like, oh, I got another migraine, so you need to take off even, like
Yes.
instead of being, you can be off the whole day, you can use certain hours.
Mhm,
Intermittent leave can also be used to go to your appointments. If your appointments happen during the day, um, again, these are federal protections. And what you
mhm,
want to do is become a protected class.
mm,
Having a chronic condition,
mhm,
having a permanent or temporary disability,
mhm.
those are all considered protected classes. And
Yeah.
also don't view it as your migraines due to stress, the whooping feeling you get, the nausea that you start feeling, the dread, the stress, all of those. I want you to take that as seriously as you have back surgery, as
Mhm.
you had a baby, as you got to get dialysis. That is a chronic condition. Right now, it
Yeah.
might be, something that's just starting to show up. It
Yeah.
will become a chronic, and then if you let that continue, as you're going to have next week, I'm sure that
Mhm.
those physicians are going to talk about the lifelong effects. Now, I can tell you about
Man.
lifelong emotional effects, but
Yeah.
they're going to talk about the lifelong physical effects. So
Yes.
they need to pay you for your pain, okay? And the way
Yes.
they can start is by you taking your siestas, okay, throughout the day, get that intermittent leave. Then if you start button up against, instead of those 1 to 3 days, it's 3 days. Then it needs to be adapted to, 5 days or whatever.
Mhm.
Then that's when it's time to move to the next thing. I just,
Yeah.
if you can, go on and just put your short-term disability in. If you have to, because that's what I had to do, the way the job was set up,
Mhm.
you don't need your manager's approval. You
Mhm.
don't even need the company's approval. This
Mhm.
is an insurance company that they pay you. The
Mhm.
company's not paying you. The insurance company is paying you. Now,
Mhm.
you may be able to use your vacation time. Sick time definitely qualifies under it. And usually you use all your sick leave first, because there may
Mhm.
be a bye week
Mhm.
or 2 weeks that you have to wait before you can start getting the benefits. Or they may say, well, we pay at 60%. So the other 40% is going to
Mhm.
be taken. Even if you're salaried, they view you as an 8-hour employee.
Mhm.
So that's going to allow you to be able to take, use your leave and chip away at it 4 hours at a time or whatever. Like, yeah. So again, you have options. You got a lot of options. But
That's good to know.
I encourage you all to get under that protected class umbrella, because
Yeah.
now when they do the retaliation, now when they want you to work and you say, hey, I'm unable to because I have a migraine, or I'm unable to, whatever. And again, you don't have to give them specifics. You
Mhm.
really don't. Sometimes it works
Mhm.
to give them even just the entry level. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
you're taking it off because you got a bubble guts and you throw up, and
Mhm.
you're laid up all weekend and things
Mhm.
like that. But you can get that for migraines. You can get it
Mhm.
for medical appointments, whatever.
Mhm.
Like, they
Mhm.
don't need to know. It's your leave. It's your time. You take it how you see fit.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. That's great. How do you get approved for long-term disability?
Oh, so usually there is, in the short-term disability, you get X amount of um, like weeks or months before it kicks over into long-term disability.
Mhm.
Now, me at that company, I was getting paid 100% all through the short-term disability. And I think it's like 4 6 months, something like that. It varies based on your policy. That's why I encourage you to go and look at your benefits and call the people and see, what's offered.
Mhm.
And then the long-term disability kicks in. Now, The employer I'm at now, they pay long-term disability. I paid long-term disability at the other job, like after post-tax. Now, another fun fact, if you pay for it out of your post-tax, so it doesn't come out like before your insurance and things like that, then that's non-taxable income. Short-term disability, that's a benefit from your employer, that is taxable income. So as I mentioned, I was on long-term disability for about 2 years, and
Wow.
that's not non-taxable income. But again, I like it naturally kicks over. And maybe if you didn't pay for it, you don't have it. If you guys haven't done if your open enrollment window hasn't closed, then jump on it. If not, don't worry about it. That is maybe like, you, Dr. Kamani, that's when you went from paid leave to unpaid leave. And then there's plenty of ways that you can replace income in a way that feels good for you, still allows you to heal. That's easy. But, strikes that balance between allowing you to also rest and heal.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. A stable, nurturing family seems to be important for micro affirmations and resilience building. Can you speak to that? What do you do if your family isn't so reliable? Okay. So let me say several things about that. Thank God for my family. Okay. So in terms of family, community, friends, they can help to mitigate the toxic stress. However, when you are continually in a stressful situation, it erodes. So the family support you get, that's one thing. But when you're under attack every day, right? So again, that's when it takes a toll. Now, if your family isn't reliable, then I would say think about your chosen family. Do you have friends? Do you have a therapist? Do you have other people around you who can help build you up and to help to mitigate that toxic stress? But again, when you're under these situations ongoing, no matter what support you have, it's still going to harm you. Okay. So that's why we're talking about be mindful of the signs of burnout, be mindful of the signs you're being harmed, because no matter what you put in place, it's going to eventually, again, poison is going to eventually get in your system some kind of way. So be mindful of that. So again, if you go back into a job after burnout or being in a job, think about it as time limited, but start getting your exit plan together, okay?
Yeah.
I'm an ASW, just submitted for my license. Congratulations. It's sad, but the journey to accrue my 3,000 hours has burned me out. I'm so sorry. Currently working as a medical social worker. Any tips to pivot out of this field? Okay, let me say this too. Okay. So the place where I experienced the most toxicity in my life was at a school district. So I worked for the second largest school district in the nation, and it was in the mental health unit. Okay. So I was being terrorized by a workplace bully who was a social worker in the mental health unit, right? So all I'm saying to you is this. I think a lot of us in the healing professions, we experience this toxicity. And I think it's really hard for us because we're in the healing profession. So we're so invested in the work and helping other people and helping to heal other people. But number one, we cannot really help other people if we're being attacked, if we're being harmed, okay, if we're being taken out. The other thing is you could still help people, but maybe not in that environment that you're in, okay? Not all environments are toxic. Not for me. Like I said, I'm jaded, right? I'm jaded. But listen, I help so many more people on my own now, not at that toxic job, okay? So you can still be a social worker. You can still be in a healing profession, but maybe not at that job. So my hope is this. You put in a lot of work to become a social worker. You're almost there. You're almost licensed, right? Be mindful of that. If you love the work, but you don't love where you are, don't throw away the whole profession. Okay. So I'm saying that to you because I was literally, when I talk about they were in my head so bad, I went through a whole bunch to become a psychologist, right? The training, becoming licensed, all those student loans, all of that stuff, right? When I was in that toxic job, I started questioning, do I want to be a psychologist? Maybe I don't want to be a psychologist, right? And once I left it, I love being a psychologist. I love
Yeah.
it. That's why I'm on YouTube a lot. That's why I'm talking about healing a lot. I love it. I lighten up. I love it. It gives me joy. Okay. But that toxic job almost robbed me of that joy. Okay. So I'm saying to you, sis, just be mindful before you want to pivot out the career. Think about if you work somewhere else, if you work on your own for yourself, once you get licensed, might you still have that feeling or is it because of that job? Okay, so be mindful of that. Now, if you do want to pivot out the career, right, then the masterclass might be beneficial for you because that's what we talk about in terms of replacing your income with something else. So if you are serious, like I just want to pivot out the field, you've thought about it, you've prayed on it, you've done everything you do, then check out their master classes, okay? So true. We don't get passes. We have to be the best. I
Dr.
wish
Kamani,
I,
can I? Oh,
yes,
I'm sorry.
yes, yes,
Can
yes.
I?
Go on.
I want to say something to the viewer who asked about the family. So
Yeah.
I'm not close with my family, and I haven't been for decades.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that are my chosen family, a very small circle,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, they were the ones who were saying like, "You about to quit that good job? You're about to do this." Do.
Ooh.
Again, it came from a place of concern, but it
Yeah.
came through as far as they could see.
Yeah.
They can only like people can only see as far as whatever their vision is,
Yes. And
whatever
they got
their
their own
dreams
projected
are.
fears. They got their
Right.
own fears.
Right.
Yes.
So in those instances, again, I was a lone wolf for a while. There were
Mm-hmm.
just select people I didn't say anything to because I really didn't want to hear people's opinions. I was very raw. I was very vulnerable. I was, digging myself about this hole
Yeah.
and interacting with people that I know love me. I know they mean
Yeah.
well, but they are
Yeah.
not speaking life into what I want to do. That is
Yes.
when, as I mentioned before, and I will always talk about getting in community. A great place is the Exodus Summit Facebook group. I
Yes.
encourage you to get the replays because they are available. But if not, just jump in the Exodus Summit Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
You do have to have a picture of yourself as a Black
Yes.
woman
No,
so
you
we can
black.
keep that
Yes.
space safe. But go in there and hit that search box. There
Yes.
are like, I don't know, close to 15,000, I think, women like that are in that group.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't think of anything that hasn't been discussed. Maybe even I would say the meat and potatoes are in the comments. So
Yeah.
maybe look in the comments to a very similar question, and they may say, "Hey, we have a group already that meets for that." Like, or if not, maybe that is where you could start it and give you a different sense of I don't want to say sense of purpose, but for
Mm-hmm.
lack of better terms, we attach our worth and our value and that false sense of purpose into our
Mm-hmm.
jobs. So
Yes.
what if you can do it, heal yourself, meet some new friends, start to strengthen your community, because that truly is when things change like next level for me, is when I got involved with the Exodus Summit Facebook group, attended the Exodus Summit,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been on since there. So yeah,
Yeah.
I encourage
So
you to, you just have to, I don't even want to be like keep looking. That's fine because we're here. You see
yes.
us, see Dr. Kamani. If you get in that Exodus Summit Facebook group, I assure you there's someone like you.
Mm-hmm.
Every city and international and in the US has
Yes.
meetups. And if there isn't one, that's maybe because somebody hasn't said it. So you put in there, look, I'm having a meetup on such and such a date, such and such a time in this place. Who's in? But start by looking at the meetup. There's like a meetup list, and then you can find out who owns that. And then we have our own little groups and stuff as well. But I really encourage you all to just dip your little pinky toe into community.
That's tricky.
Just just dip it on in there. If you're like, oh, I don't know, is that water too cold? Just dip the little baby toe up in there.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
stick your feet in. Then you can just jump in and you'll just be swimming away. Okay. So
Yes.
women to glory. Okay, anyway.
Yes.
That was
But
it.
I also want to say, I completely agree with what April is saying, right? So, Exodus Summit Community, I will put that in the description section. And I was also, I attended one of the meetups. Well, actually, I was an organizer at one of the meetups, the Joshua Tree meetup. And it's magical. It's like Black women, you say, okay, we're going to have a meetup in this location. Stephanie Perry was there. And Stephanie Perry and Rashida Dow have really done so much, for Black women in terms of options and building community. And community is so healing. So yeah, so important. I say I wish I had the support network before I left 5 years ago, but you're here now, sis. You're
Yeah,
here now, right?
never too late.
Exactly. It's imposter treatment. Great advice. They are so intimidated by us. Yes, they are. Can a therapist sign off on your leave? I would say check off. I would just do your research because I don't want to say one thing and just do your research on that.
Yeah,
Okay.
some companies allow it to be a nurse practitioner
Uh huh.
or like you, Dr. Kamani, a clinical
Hmm.
psychologist. Some require it to be a MD, so someone who can write prescriptions. It just depends on the company, but
Hmm.
like I said, check your benefits, then
Yeah.
give them a
Yeah.
call and ask questions. That's what customer service is there for, and they
Yes.
can inform you. You could say, well, if I need to take a leave of absence, who needs to sign this form? And
Yep.
you just tell them exactly what it's about. Many of them are licensed counselors that answer the phone for that very reason. But yeah, like call. There's also EAP. Many times you can get 3, 6, 9, however many visits for free. That's something if you don't necessarily have the funds to see a therapist, and I'll give you a little bit of time, and maybe they can recommend someone as well. But yeah, it depends on the actual provider, the
Yeah.
disability insurance provider, what they
Yeah.
require. But the easiest way, pick up the phone and call and ask.
Yeah. Do your research. Do your research. Up, up, and up. When they see us as the best, they downplay your concerns about not being able to manage your workload. See that gaslighting. My boss was shifted to saying she wanted me to work on my confidence. Oh my God. If that's
I
not,
almost said a curse
oh,
word. Ooh, me.
I almost said something too. I'm
It was on the
okay,
tip of my tongue.
girl. That is what I call. That is what I call. And you can tell what I'm about to say. I want to say the full thing. I'm not gonna say it. That's a mind f.
Right,
That's a mind f. Okay,
right.
but recognize it for what it is. Okay, no, I'm drowning. Get out. That's right. Get out. Get out of that job. Get out. I used to call my job. I used to say that toxic job that I resigned from. I used to say it was a combination between Get Out, Mean Girls, and The Emperor Has No Clothes. Okay. It was
Okay.
like a nightmare. Like, oh my God. I recently returned after a lengthy short term disability leave for stress and burnout. Retaliation is real. It is so real. My supervisor is smart enough to not do it in overt ways, though. I'm so resolved to get out for good now. Thank you. I'm so glad you are. I'm
Yes,
so glad you are. It doesn't stop. It gets worse. I'm
it
telling
will.
you. You
Because
know how
they
I
don't
know it
want
gets
you
worse?
there. They don't
Yeah.
want you there. So there will
No.
never, you can't outwork it. You can't out like qualify it. You can't out engage it. You can't like the goalpost is always going to keep moving because they don't want you there. They
Right.
want you to quit. But
Yes.
again, just make sure you don't quit without
Well, let me
without
just
getting
say
some
this.
reparations. There you
Well,
go.
but let me say this. Ideally, right? We don't want anybody's just up and leave, right? So I don't tell people just up and leave. Oh, girl, no, you got it. Da, da, da. I don't say that to you. However,
Yeah,
if
it's
you
crucial.
are in immediate danger
Yeah,
to yourself, you're about to have a nervous breakdown. Physically, you are very sick. The job's not worth it. Okay.
right.
So all we're talking about is exit plan. Get your stuff together. Get your plan together so you can go. Okay. Let's see. Wow. You create an online community and support Bravo. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for validating me. I love this. Yes, a therapist can, LCSW, licensed professional counselor, LMFT. I take people off work all the time. Beautiful. Okay.
Nice.
My PCP said he would not sign the form for me. Okay, well, go to what you just heard. Go to a therapist, right? She just said that she does it all the time. Okay. I want to use up my sick leave while I asked about the therapist signing off on leave. So do your research. Do your research. Okay. I'm scheduled to go back to work tomorrow after 5 weeks off. My counselor hasn't extended my leave. Should I just call in? What do you say about that, April?
Look, if you have an extension, take it. I'm serious. Like, this is not your company. That's something else that I started doing. I used to say we, us. No, I use, because I'm the compliance officer for 3 companies. So I use the company's name. The only time I say we, us is when I'm on like a team huddle. I'm talking directly about what my team has done. That is not my business.
Yep.
I told the story last time. There was a man, a wonderful man, super sweet, and he died at work. And nobody, like the people that come in on Monday to dust everything off, to click the lights on, to reset the heat, stuff like that, they found him.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
there's
it's not
people
worth it.
who like, and guess what? They cleaned his little office out. They took his chair away, and they gave that office to somebody else within a week.
No.
So, like, it is not you. You don't owe these jobs anything. I know
No.
we feel like we do, but we don't owe them. To do like you. We don't owe them ish.
No. Nothing.
We really don't.
Nothing.
We don't owe them a thing
No.
at all. At all.
No.
Yeah.
No. Okay. We're almost done. Okay. Exactly. Laugh out loud. Well, I'm out effective last Friday. The mind F's and other nonsense. Yes, I saw the signs early. Congratulations. Hello,
Yes.
ladies. So again, if they did not follow up on your leave, I would say keep going. Keep going till you find somebody who does. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I find it odd that some PCPs refuse to sign the form. I had to explain to my PCP that my leave is not paid and it's something that I'm legally entitled to. They thought I would get paid time off. Who cares? Give me my time off. Okay.
So PCPs are
give me my time off.
They're generalists. They know a lot about, many things that have to do with your body. But if you develop, a sinus infection that needs some type of surgery or needs some type of in or outpatient procedure, what do? They refer you to a specialist.
Right.
That's the difference. Also, they may not know it. They may not want to get involved. Maybe the company's policies and procedures, but I don't want a PCP unless you have that good relationship with them and they'll do it. Sounds like that this PCP again is resistant to it. I don't want a generalist who may be like, well, I can prescribe you something, a low dose of something, and tell you need to go talk to a psychiatrist or a therapist. I wouldn't even want them prescribing me anything. I want to talk to a specialist.
Yes.
And to drill down even further, a specialist, because I do research on my therapist. I want to see what have you said online. I check your Twitter. I check, what have you posted, any of your Facebook lives you've done, any of the panels you sat on. I check. And if you, again, all skin folk and kinfolk, just like how you said, there's people who still, it doesn't matter what profession you're in, there are people who still believe that you just got to keep your head down and keep working and it'll pay off and blah, blah, blah. When you get 65 and retired, then you can do these things. No. So you want to be mindful of that. This person has a lot of influence on you.
Yeah.
So even if you go to them and you're like, you just make sure you tell them what they need to know. Which, it helps to get it out your system. So, you're expressing yourself, but who you want to really help you to really give insight, to give you exercises, to, be able to parrot back the things that they see, to turn that mirror on you. You want to make sure it's somebody that is, again, like-minded and who is not going to tell you, well, you should just go back. You should, if they start saying, well, you should, then I know I should leave. I should dip up out of here because.
And remember, no matter what, they're not living your life. Okay. Right. So if they're not serving you and doing what you need for them to do, then look at other options. Okay. They always want to police us. PCP sounds to be judgmental instead of just doing their job and signing the form. We know how we feel and what we go through. Yes. They need to just take us for our word. We know for Black women too, so much racism in the healthcare industry, so much racism. Okay. So advocating for ourselves. So ladies, I want to say thank you to all of you. I went through, let's see. Yes. Listen to this. Yeah. What biz is it of the PCP that you got paid or unpaid probably time off? Ridiculous. Exactly. Go somewhere with that. Okay. So ladies, thank you so much for tuning in. Check out Apryl. Check out her YouTube channel. Check out the offering she has that she said for our community, right? For our community. So check it out. So in the description section is here. I see another comment. I love this conversation. Thank you, ladies. I love Encore people to take sick leave, time off, whatever you need. Sign up for short-term disability if you can. Just like a leg, arm, foot can break, the mind can break too. Yeah, so true. So true. I know that. Yes. Stress, feeling overwhelmed, toxic workplace are definitely reasons to take a leave. Yes. Besides work, we're dealing with issues in our personal life too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. We are human and it can be a lot. Strength is knowing when to take off time.
Yeah.
Yes. And also, my dear friend Colette Elizabeth, I want to call you out, Colette Elizabeth. She said that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is to walk away.
Right.
So when you know something's hurting you, the strongest thing you can do is walk away, right? So helpful ladies, love you all. I needed this for sure. Thank you, Dr. Kamani and April. Nice to see you again. Thank you. Excellent discussion. Oh, thank you, Harriet Tubman of Black Women at Work. Kamani, thank you. I used to call myself Harriet Tubman at the job. That's problematic. I used to call myself Harriet Tubman at the job because I felt like I had to fight for the rights of Black students, staff, families, that I had to be an Underground Railroad. Now that shows you right there that job is toxic.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm rechanneling my Harriet. Now I'm rechanneling Harriet to help as many Black women as I can to leave and heal from toxic jobs. Okay, so come with me, sis. Come with my hands reaching out for you. Come on, girl. Come with me. Okay. And as I'm reaching out for you, please reach out to other Black women. Okay. If you know of another Black woman, more than likely she is in a toxic job. Reach out to her. You can help her by supporting her. Don't step down on her. Don't project your fears onto her. Be supportive of her.
Mm-hmm.
Also, share with her the resources that April talked about. Share with her the resources that I talked about. And share this video with at least 2 other Black women, at least 2, okay? And check out the resources that we have in the description section. I'm so full of gratitude for all of you. And I see here gratitude and thanks, beautiful Black women. And I am full of gratitude for you, April, that you have decided to come again to share your brilliance with us. And so again, everyone, give this video a thumbs up. If you have not already subscribed to my channel, please do so. And remember, share this video with at least 2 other Black women. Okay. Okay. So I'll see you later. Bye, everyone. Take care.